from Vietnam to Iran, from Bosnia to the so-called Banana Wars. For 250 years, the United States has shaped the world, sometimes with diplomacy, often with force.
Our restraint is not inexhaustible.
The United States launched a targeted operation.
Our sons fight tonight in the jungles of Vietnam.
Just 2 hours ago, Allied air forces began an attack on military targets in Iraq.
But what has really defined its foreign policy? Is it this global engagement, or is it periods of isolationism? A country looking out to the world or turning away from it?
We will stop racing to topple foreign, and you understand this, foreign regimes that we know nothing about.
We'll come back to that claim, but let's start at the beginning. With this man, the US's first president, warned against getting too involved abroad. A legacy of early isolationism that shaped the young republic. Fast forward into the 20th century. After World War I, economic crises and the scars of war made the US step back from global politics. It chose not to join the League of Nations, the world's first international peace organization. Some have called this a phase of isolationism.
There is a myth of sorts that claims that the US was isolationist up until World War II or possibly World War I.
Kushi and her colleagues have collected data on all military interventions in the history of the United States. They counted more than 500 of them, ranging from large wars to covert actions, targeted strikes, or the massive show of force.
What the data is showing us is that even in the 1800s, even when the United States was a young country, in terms of internal continental military interventions and expansionism, it was not an isolationist actor. Think about the frontier wars, US military interventions in the Pacific, and of course, by the 1850s, wholeheartedly within Latin America.
Interventions have increased over time and not disappeared. The last year without a new intervention, 1974. Since then, the US has launched at least one military operation abroad every year.
If you look at the data, since World War II, the US has been deeply militaristically engaged all over the world.
But some regions saw far more of it than others. The Middle East dominates today, but historically, 1 in 3 interventions targeted Latin America and the Caribbean.
US interventions seem to have shifted from being highly contiguous to then targeting more distant corners of the world.
The reasons for interventions changed over time too. In the late 19th and early 20th century, economic interests played a major role. The so-called Banana Wars are one example. The US intervened in Latin America to protect its own interests and its companies, like the United Fruit Company. Marines were sent to countries like Cuba, Panama, and Nicaragua. Washington saw the region as its sphere of influence. One key goal was control of the Panama Canal, a vital route for trade and military power. In the late 1920s and 1930s, the US distanced itself from global politics, while not giving up on intervening, as we have seen. But this stance ended in 1941, when Japan attacked the US fleet at Pearl Harbor. The United States entered World War II. It played a crucial role in defeating Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. During the Cold War, ideology dominated. The central goal of US foreign policy, containing communism, often intervening out of fear that one country's shift could set off a domino effect. Vietnam became a proxy war between the US and the Soviet Union, one of many. After the Soviet Union collapsed, the United States was left without a major rival. The Cold War was over, but US military interventions increased massively.
We see that the higher rates of US interventionism encompass all of the post-Cold War era, and because of that, we argue that this move from a bipolar to a unipolar system seems to have prompted higher US rates of interventionism as the hegemon.
With unmatched military strength, with no rival power to stop it, intervention often became the default option for the US.
With the fall of the Soviet Union, it still had its military, its budget. It still had the hammer. If all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Some interventions were carried out in the name of humanitarian goals, Somalia, for example, or NATO's intervention in Bosnia, aimed to protect minorities.
This was the humanitarian interventionism era of US foreign policy, the expansion of national interest to incorporate the US fighting against the worst humanitarian atrocities all over the world.
After 9/11, security took center stage. The war on terror became the official justification for interventions in Iraq and Afghanistan. But across time, one pattern stands out. Military intervention became routine. But military power is only part of the story. In its 250-year history, the United States has also built one of the largest diplomatic networks in the world.
It has been steadily growing throughout the 20th century and into the early 21st century as well, right? We've continued to sort of open new diplomatic posts. We've continued to expand the size of the Foreign Service.
Today, the US runs hundreds of embassies and consulates worldwide. They gather information and maintain ties with other governments. This day-to-day diplomacy often lays out the groundwork for something bigger: talks, negotiations, and eventually treaties. Take the Montreal Protocol. In 1987, countries agreed to phase out chemicals that were destroying the ozone layer. The United States played a key role. It pushed for the agreement and helped enforce it. Today, the ozone layer is recovering. It is seen as one of the most successful international agreements ever. More recently, cooperation has become less stable. Take the Paris Agreement on climate change. The United States helped negotiate it. But US President Trump later withdrew. And this is not just Donald Trump retreating from international cooperation. It is a long-term trend. Over the years, the US has deposited fewer multilateral treaties with the United Nations. Instead, it increasingly relies on one-on-one deals forged by its presidents. This changes the balance of power.
The more powerful state in the partnership, which for the United States is almost always the United States, sort of gets to dictate the terms of the agreement.
You're gambling with World War III.
Cooperation continues, but more often on US terms. And while the US network is still huge, China has caught up as the biggest diplomatic player in the world. And the US seems to be stepping back.
The present era really is one of sort of retrenchment and pulling back from diplomatic engagement. The rate of ambassadorial vacancies is as high as it's ever been. We don't have ambassadors to places like Bolivia, Pakistan, Malawi, etc.
So what defines US foreign policy? After 250 years, the pattern is clear: a long history of intervention. At the same time, the US has helped shape global cooperation through alliances, treaties, and institutions. But in recent years, it has stepped back from that role. And one thing stands out: what leaders say and what the US does are not always the same.
We will stop racing to topple foreign regimes.
10 years later, Trump attacked Iran with the aim of weakening its leadership and sent armed forces to Venezuela to capture Nicolas Maduro.
So no, I don't think we are being isolationist in this time period. I think we are being quite interventionist. But the narrative seems to be we are no longer intervening under the framing of the liberal world order.
In its 250-year history, US foreign policy has been praised by many for upholding this order, for bringing peace and liberty to the world, and condemned by others for its use of force and the pursuit of American interests. In recent years, the US has seen its global image decline in 45 out of 48 countries surveyed. And Americans themselves, they are also less satisfied with their country's position in the world. The US seems to be losing its undisputed global leadership. The world is becoming more multipolar, with countries like China gaining influence.
Currently, it appears as though the US is responding to this multipolar shift with increased militarism. Many scholars have argued that if the US does apply restraint, it can ride out this multipolarity in a much less harmful way for itself and the world at large.
But if history is any guide, the United States is unlikely to step back. and will continue to play an active role on the global stage.